What's up, VCs, founders, and the entrepreneur curious? You've made it, and you're here. It's Venture Daily with me, Peter Saddington. We have a wonderful show for you guys today. We're going to be going over an awesome article that I read from Harvard Business Review. The title is How the VC Pitch Process is Failing Female Entrepreneurs. But I'm going to actually go a little bit farther than that, my friends. I am actually going to go farther than just how the VC pitch is failing female entrepreneurs. I'm going to talk about how the pitch should probably be abolished altogether. And it's failing, I think, a lot of people. And the reason is because the model, and I'll give you the TLDR before we even do the show, guys. But the TLDR is that the pitch creates a type of behavior in the venture capital world. And this type of behavior is a behavior that I think is self-destructive. So you might want to hold on and wait for us to talk about that. So we're going to be talking about how the VC pitch process is failing female entrepreneurs as well as male counterparts. Then we're going to be going on to the venture deals for today, because we always got to know where the money is flowing, where the money is going, and where the money is flowing. And then I want to give you guys, and I'm really excited about this, I want to give you guys my review of a Netflix show that I just finished watching, season 1 and season 2. Please, Netflix, don't do us like this. Please, make sure that you do a season 3. Please. I loved, I'll be honest with you guys. I struggled with if I wanted to do an entire independent video on this Netflix show, because I've been around Netflix like many of you guys have out there for a long while, and I've watched some stuff, but none of it has ever been soul gripping, emotionally just gripping, right? I watched this series, guys. So I was struggling whether I wanted to do a separate video for this that would be not congruent. It would be misaligned to the entire purpose of this channel, but I can do whatever I want, so I could do it. Or I could leave it to the final word on today, Thursday, the final word, and you guys can listen to my review of a Netflix series that, guys, I think you can't miss it. It's that good. So that's today's show in Venture Daily. I'm glad you're here, guys. I love being a part of your day. Let's jump into it. This is from Kamal Hassan, Monisha Varadan, and Claudia Zeisberger. How the VC pitch process is failing female entrepreneurs. And this is written by 3 females. So they probably know a little bit about what they're talking about. In 2018, only 3% of venture capital in the U.S. went to companies with a female CEO. Yet the number of female-owned businesses has risen both in the U.S. and around the world. That's awesome. Cha-ching. Keep building your dreams. And the number of women intending to become entrepreneurs, they might just be entrepreneur curious, globally has increased even more sharply. Women who venture into entrepreneurship are not poised to get a fair deal. Okay, so this is the thesis, this is the hypothesis. Let's jump right in. From our perspective, bias within the VC industry is preventing funds from being allocated to the best investment opportunities. After all, a growing body of evidence recommends diversity as a guiding principle when building profitable VC investment portfolios. A recent string of high-profile IPO flops seems to confirm our hunch. I would say that would be somewhat anecdotal and just maybe timing. Guys, remember, contextually, as a trained data scientist, I generally take almost every type of survey with a big, heavy teaspoon of salt, because I got to look at the data set, see whether there's enough evidence. But anyway, if we want to both better VC outcomes and more gender balance in entrepreneurship, we need to root out the bias hampering ventures at their earliest stages. Now, I'm going to go on the offensive here just a little bit. When they say We have to root out the bias hampering ventures. How do you do that? How do you root out bias, especially this idea of implicit bias or like unknown bias? Well, if it's unknown, then how do you root out the unknown? Just think about it, guys. Just think about it. But I will say, when it comes to, if we move back a little bit in this paragraph that they wrote, they said, after all, a growing body of evidence recommends diversity as a guiding principle. Well, what do you mean when you say diversity? That's one of the first things that I ask whenever anyone says we're a fund or a venture capital fund and we focus on diversity. My first question is, what does that mean to you? How do you execute a diversity strategy? Is it diversity of thinking, or is it diversity of skin color, which means a whole bunch of nothing to me?
Nope. No!
Probably important to know, because I'm a big believer in diversity of thought, not diversity of a color. I am wearing yellow, though, guys. I don't know. Does yellow look good on me today? Based on more than 20 years of combined experience working closely with investors and founders in entrepreneurial hubs such as Silicon Valley and Singapore, we believe that the pitching process is the best place to start. Really? So we believe that the pitching process is the best place to start. I don't know if I disagree with this, but I'm going to hold my tongue until we get later in the article. Our research, involving interviews with more than a dozen VCs in the US, Canada, UK, and Singapore, so 12 pieces of data, is actively exploring how a VC could realistically dispose of pitching. Well, maybe that's where we're going. Get rid of it entirely. While the work is still ongoing, our initial results suggest that by adopting a more data-driven approach to assessing a startup's potential and profitability, VCs may see a better performing portfolio than one that includes more female-rounded firms. Interesting. So is there bias in pitching? You better believe it. The VC investment process has 4 stages, according to these authors here: deal sourcing, pitching, due diligence, and closing. So why are we singling out the pitch stage? The final 2 stages are much more technical and numbers oriented, so they're less hospitable to bias. Deal sourcing, which is highly dependent on personal networks, is susceptible to bias, but in a more overt way. If your network of startup founders is all male, it's difficult to argue you're giving women opportunities. However, it's during pitching, as we currently know it, that gender bias can influence decision-making without loudly announcing itself. Multiple academic studies have shown that there is a strong gender bias in many different elements of the pitch process. For instance, one study in 2014 used identical slides and scripts voiced by men and women with or without photos of the presenter, and then asked study participants to rate the investment. That's interesting because this is something that Heidi Roizen and I talked about. She was partook in, I believe, either this study or another study where they had all of her accolades on a resume, and they put a male name versus her name, and the results showed that the male version of Heidi Roizen from Threshold Ventures got more opportunities than the female, which is who she actually is. Intriguing to say the least.
Nope.
Pitches voiced by men significantly outperformed those with a woman narrator, and pitches where the narrator's picture was a good-looking man performed best of all. I was gonna insert a joke here. I was gonna say, maybe that's why. No. I was gonna say maybe that's why I don't pitch, but actually the real is I just don't go to pitches at all anyway, and I was going to say maybe that's why I haven't done a good job, but I don't go to pitches, and I don't know, guys. It was a really terrible thought out joke in my brain about how I'm not good enough looking to go to pitches, but I couldn't formulate it in my brain. And so we're just going to continue on with this article and appear like nothing happened. Bias also appears in how entrepreneurs are questioned. Research from 2017 found that women were asked different questions than men when pitching to VCs. Across 180 entrepreneurs and 140 VCs at the TechCrunch competition, men were consistently asked more promotion questions, highlighting upside and potential gains, while women were asked more preventative questions, highlighting potential losses and risk mitigation. Entrepreneurs who addressed promotion questions raised at least 6 times more money than those who asked the preventative questions. And so here would be an opportunity for you women founders and you women operators and entrepreneurs out there to drive the conversation to more promotion. And if someone were to ask you in a pitch or something like that, if they were to ask you, hey, let's talk about the risk, you should say, well, maybe we should talk more about the promotion. Maybe we should talk more about highlighting the gains of what you'll get for working with me and giving me your money. Maybe that could be it. If the data is telling us this, then if you're reading this and you're a woman founder, you know what? It is what it is. Take charge of the conversation. Take charge. Frame it, drive the conversation to where you know it is best, which is highlighting the upside and potential gains. Risks, highlighting potential losses and risk mitigation. Come on, let's be honest, guys. No one can ever truly be 100% defensible. No one can reduce all risk. There is just zero way of knowing any of that. So when anyone has ever asked me questions like, how is this defensible? How is this reducing risk of competitive? I just say, I don't know. I don't know. All I know is that no one else that's doing something similar to what I'm doing has me.
Gotcha, bitch.
And if they don't have me, then they're not going to do what I'm going to do, is generally the answer. You let me know in the comments below whether I'm just a little bit hubris here or if that's just the bloody truth. Another reason pitching tends to give a short shift to women has to do with the confidence gender gap, in which women tend to undervalue themselves compared to men in competitive situations and consequently come off to potential investors as less sure of themselves. Of course, the gender gap in confidence is still debated and is even debatable whether it is a true handicap. To the extent that it inhibits overconfidence and bluster, it may actually be a misunderstood strength. I have a little bit of a problem here, and the reason is because I will tell you that the women that I have worked with in the past, of course, this is just my anecdote of just one man's life, working with lots of different women in lots of different situations, from executives to leadership to startups to founders to venture capitalists. You know what? I've never felt like I've met someone who had seriously major confidence issues, and I never looked at it from like a male-female perspective. I always look at everyone the same, that they are broken. Like that person in front of me is a broken human being who is communicating through their suffering. I mean, it's true. I mean, I've said this before on other podcasts, guys. Everyone in the world is broken, and everyone in the world is merely communicating through their pain. And if you're really empathetic, if you're really situationally aware, and you really understand that, then you can understand the person on the other side of the conversation every time. They're suffering. They have pain. That they have scar tissue just like you, and they're just communicating through the filter of that pain, that suffering. And they're all broken, and they all have confidence issues. They all have the same issues as we do, as I do. We're all the same. We just suffer differently. And so I've never looked at someone and said, oh, they don't have enough confidence. They're just like me. They're just trying to communicate the best way they can. And so being a great interviewer, if you're in a pitch, or being a great consultant if you're helping a client, is to just be empathetic and to go to their level, understand where they're at, and communicate at that level so you can effectively grow the relationship. Anyway, the confidence gap may be one cause for our observation, admittedly anecdotal, but born out of years of firsthand experience, albeit still anecdotal. That often women often use metrics to sell their story, while men present the big picture vision. VCs who are scouting for extreme outperformers may be underwhelmed by women's more measured pitching style. All of the above disadvantages women face in pitching aren't lost on entrepreneurs. We have repeatedly seen in Silicon Valley and other entrepreneurial contexts that teams may attempt to skirt negative bias by having a lower-ranking man pitch in the place of the woman CEO. This tactic tends to backfire, however, as investors almost always want to hear from the founder or the person within the ultimate authority in the company. And that makes sense. Let's talk to the deal maker, my friends. So, ditch the pitch? Well, does pitching serve a business purpose that outweighs its blind spots? Most of the VCs we spoke to insisted that there's no other way to get an up-close and personal sense of the venture and the founder. But we would argue that if VC's instinctive gift for picking winners leads them to choose almost exclusively men, maybe their senses aren't all they're purported to be. There are far more important predictors of venture success than the CEO's ability to deliver a pitch. And I 100% completely agree. 100%. I'm going to repeat this. There are far more important predictors of venture success than the CEO's ability to deliver a pitch. Early stage sales data delivers non-biased indicators of customer need, product fit, marketing skill, sales funnel, and customer relationship management, not to mention the CEO's ability to assemble and manage a team to deliver results. How about this one? Which for me, in many cases, covers a multitude of sins. It covers a multitude of sins of any founder. Is this founder, and I'll qualify this, is this founder a grinder? Is this someone who has a no-quit attitude, a hustle, grind, learn, execute to learn fast, make informed decisions based on failures, pivot? Like, that's what I'm looking for. When I'm helping founders, when I'm helping the entrepreneur curious, when I'm helping executives and leaders, that's what I'm looking for. And I'm not even a full-time venture capitalist. I'm just an angel investor, guys. But I'm always looking for guys who are very similar or have some semblance of similarity to my work ethic, which is no quit. No quit. Let me say it again. No quit. Are they willing to go the full 10 plus years? Are they willing to grind out this crazy dream of theirs? Are they willing to learn? I don't care if you're able to pitch. Frankly, most of the times people have pitched to me, the pitches were terrible. They're terrible. But that doesn't ever tell me anything about the efficacy and the effectiveness or the potential, the real potential of that product or service. To be sure, our research shows that many VCs are increasingly relying upon data-driven processes in the initial vetting of candidates. Such processes help diminish the influence of the pitch and its attendant biases. However, when we ask these data favoring VCs whether they still require founders to pitch, the general reaction was incredulous, of course. If the goal of investing is to pick the best companies and to deliver top quartile returns, it doesn't make sense to incorporate a step that knowingly leads to selecting startups based on gender and looks. It would be better to dispense with the pitch entirely. So here's the question. Is it the pitch or is it the person? Hold on. Is it the pitch or is it the optics of the person? What if there was blind pitching, where it's just like a robot Siri voice pitching it? See, we're almost stuck, and we'll finish the rest of this article here, but I'm going to jump right in. We're almost stuck between a rock and a hard place. Because at the end of the day, you want to be able to get the data-driven information, right? You want to get the metrics, you want to get the traction, you want to understand where they're growing, where they need help, right? You need all these metrics true. But there's a dance that happens, guys. There's a dance that happens here. And maybe the pitch setting isn't the best place for this dance, but the dance needs to happen. The dance needs to happen between the venture capitalist and the founder and the entrepreneur. They need to ask each other questions. They need to thrash a little bit. They need to spar a little bit. This dance is required. And maybe the pitch scene, the pitch mechanism, the pitch medium isn't the best way to do the dance. Maybe it would be better if they just sat down and had coffee and asked good questions. Maybe that's a better way of doing it. That's the way that I do it when I hang out with people. But then again, I'm not a full-time venture capitalist with a backlog of 9,000 people who want my money. A select few funds have done exactly that, with standout results. Social Capital, which took applications online and evaluated companies largely by the numbers, reported 40% women CEOs funded in their early investments. The fund has since shuttered due to unrelated team issues. Maybe it didn't work out, guys. But its successor fund plans to rely on algorithms to do much of the deal sourcing. Sure. The new revenue-based venture investors such as Clearbank claim to have funded 8 times more women than the venture capital average, and to Loyal VC, a fund founded by one of our co-authors, Kamal, has 37% women CEO in its first 70 investments. Maybe she's intrinsically biased to support this type of results for her own fund. Was there a citation there? Founder Institute, which evaluates companies based on watching 14 weeks of work. Top performers get an initial $10,000 investment and are then evaluated over a 6 to 9 month diligence period to earn $200,000 investment, with subsequent $1 million, $3 million, and $6 million amounts on offer based on the company's performing as expected. None of the above funds claim to make exceptional efforts to fund women entrepreneurs. All are trying to find and fund the best possible companies. To do so, they eliminate the pitch from their process and shift their focus to actual performance data from startups. All end up with dramatically more gender-balanced investment portfolios. So what they're saying here is that instead of the pitch, give them a little bit of seed capital, give them a little bit of money, and work with them. Actually work with the founders, grow a relationship with them, help understand their processes, understand how they're building the company, help them build the company, build a long-lasting partnership and relationship with these people so you can better understand whether they have what it takes to go the distance. So what they're really saying here again, build a relationship with these founders instead of just sitting there in an ivory tower as they pitch to you, as you slowly nod and consider what you'd rather be doing instead of listening to these pitches. Probably. Maybe.
Nope.
It is too early to say whether these firms will consistently yield higher returns than those using the conventional pitch, but the results so far have been promising. Since early-stage investors typically 8 to 10 years to exit their startups, full cash-on-cash returns from these new funds will require another decade. Still, it seems reasonable to assume that focusing on business performance rather than gender will, on the whole, deliver better investment outcomes. Now, I appreciate this conceit from these authors. And the reason why I appreciate it is because they're using the right words. Still, it seems reasonable to assume. That's an interesting conceit. I don't know if I find it reasonable to assume that focusing on business performance rather than gender will, on the whole, deliver better investment outcomes. I don't know, because you just told me that it takes 8 to 10 years, which most of us realize, takes 8 to 10 years to figure out whether they're actually going to be worth a damn, whether it's actually going to work out. And because the venture capital industry is so transparent, all of those companies' investments that have failed over the 8 to 10 year period we'll never hear about, because no venture capitalist is going to be putting on blast all the failed investments that took 7 years for them to finally shutter their doors. And so while I appreciate articles like this, we need to see the full cycle. We need to see the full circle. We need venture, and this is something that I'm talking about all the time, guys, and I'm always promoting. We need to see the full history of these funds. We need to see, who are they investing in? What are they doing to help these actual founders and entrepreneurs? Let's get documentation. Let's get the story. Let's watch them grow over a year, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years of documentation. I want to see it. I want to see the value add. I want to see the consistency over time. Are these venture capitalists actually providing value, or they are just VC bragging it and telling everyone only about the the one or two other portfolio that actually succeeded? What about the other 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12? What about the other 20 portfolio items that didn't succeed? Where's their story? What happened to them? We're never going to hear about it. That's the problem. And so these types of research articles are great for mental gymnastics. They're great for helping you kind of remind yourself to be, if you're in a position of being a venture capitalist, to open yourself to all sorts of different types of people, opportunities. And I don't know if you can ever intentionally remove your bias, but be a better people, right? These are good articles for reminding us to do this stuff. I just don't see a whole lot here that I can actually take action on, because your results, you don't actually have any real results. You just say it seems reasonable to assume. Well, you're talking to a trained data scientist, guys. I don't find it reasonable to assume a whole lot of anything in a whole lot of most stuff, if that makes any sense. So, can we eliminate gender bias? If VCs decide to keep the traditional pitch, one rational choice, interesting, putting me in a position of making sure that I'm rational here, is to allocate pools of money explicitly by gender. Interesting idea. This eliminates gender bias by having women pitch only against other women. But I thought that you just said earlier on in this article that at the end of the day, VCs are trying to pick the best companies, regardless of gender. So wouldn't you... All right, okay, maybe if we dissect again and only have women pitch against other women, I don't know. Let me know in the comments below whether I'm losing it here. I'm not seeing the logic here just right now. Maybe it's just because it's early in the morning, guys. A number of funds, such as Female Founders Fund, Golden Seeds, or Europe's Voles Capital, follow this strategy. So they only pitch against other women. Okay, I get that. There's a market for that. Totally legit. The alternative to gender segregation, that's the word I was thinking about. Why are we trying to, again, segregate? Is to design a pitchless investment process. Social Capital and Clearbank chose to gather data on an online application form and select companies based on specific metrics. Loyal VC works with companies for months to watch their progress and outsource initial selection to accelerators. As we see it, the above two choices, either eliminate cross-gender competition or ditch the pitch, are the best ways forward for now. So their two choices are either eliminate cross-border gender competition or ditch the pitch. I would say we don't need... Okay. Technological changes may present entirely new options for a near future. For example, investors could adopt a digitally mediated process that obfuscates the gender and appearance of startup CEOs soliciting funding, thereby expunging all traces of bias. Symphony orchestras have been doing something similar for decades. Having musicians audition behind a screen achieves the same gender blind effect. It's great. That works really effectively if you're only playing music. If you're only playing music, then you could have a robot do the same thing as a lady or as a man. And if it's obfuscated behind a shroud, then the people will choose probably the machine, because the machine will make no mistakes. When it comes to selling an idea, you need the whole person. You need the whole person. In sum, we know that there's gender bias in how investors, both men and women, evaluate pitches. This means VCs are not investing in the businesses with the best financial returns. We found that funds that don't consider a pitch invest in 8 to 12 times more women than average, and even though they do not have an explicit gender mandate and are vesting on pure financial performance. This means that there is both a strong financial reason and gender equity reason to eliminate the pitch from venture capital process. Well, this is a unique and interesting article, guys, in which I am struggling a little bit to follow their logic and their reasoning as to their two results. And their two results is either get rid of the pitch process or make sure that women founders only pitch against women founders. Here's my answer, and this is what maybe some of you have been waiting for. My answer is simply this: ditch the pitch, period. Having a pitch environment creates behaviors for founders to spend hours, copious amounts of hours, creating a deck to pitch to people in a 5, 10, 15-minute period. This is poo-poo. This is crappy, guys. This is a whole bunch of nope. I disagree with this because you can't fully understand the person. You can't fully understand the person. You can't fully understand the person behind the startup in a 5, 10, 15-minute pitch. Yeah. You'll get great ideas. You'll get great metrics. You'll get wonderful slides that look beautiful. They look beautiful. They make the idea look grand. But at the end of the day, VCs are always telling me that at the end of the day, they invest in the people. They invest in the people, the founders. If that's so, then ditch the pitch. Sit down for an hour with the founder. Ask them good questions. Become a good consultant venture capitalist. Be a good VC. Ask great questions. Learn how to be a better communicator. Learn how to ask better questions. Learn how to ask them for the stories around what they're doing, the historicity, their feelings, their fears. Talk to them as a real person. Understand who they really are and the vision that they've outlined, the narratives that they've created, and where they want to go, how they want to achieve the objectives and the mission that they have in their mind. A pitch can never tell you any of this. The best startups that I've ever invested in, and I haven't invested in hundreds like other venture capitalists, so I don't have all the pattern matching that others do. But the best investments I've always made have been rarely on the tech. Almost never on the tech, because all these ideas, B2C, B2B, it's B2C, it's B2B. What else do I need to know? I want to know about the person, and I want to know about the individual. I don't care if you're a male or female. Let's sit down. Let me get to know you. Are you someone that I can click with? Are you someone that not only do I want to cut a check to, but are you someone that I feel like I want to be on that team? You've excited me to the point where it's like I need to now cut out a little bit of my time so I can spend more time with you because you're doing something awesome, and I want to be a part of that. And you've excited me about your story. You've showed me your transparency and the person that you are and the person that you want to become. These are the conversations we need to have. And the VC will look at me, and the VC might be listening to this on Spotify, iTunes, or Google Podcasts, or you might be watching it on YouTube. And you might be saying, well, Peter, I'm a VC. I don't have all that time. Well, why? Why don't you make it? Why don't you make better informed decisions based on the actual people rather than some flashy metrics and some pre-designed, slide deck that they paid a guy, $8,000 to build for them? There are services out there, guys. I know this. So I think we should ditch the pitch and have conversations, hour-long conversations. Because if you're really wanting to make an impact in this individual's life, venture capitalist, if you really want to make an impact in the world, and you're doing so by deploying capital into founders who have dreams, then maybe you should be part of that dream. Maybe you should understand that dream more than being wooed and awed by a pitch that really, at the end of the day, is just a dog and pony show. Why don't you get to know the person behind the project? That's my 2 thoughts, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Am I wrong? True startup story, guys. You got it. Your company just got seed round financed. Congratulations. You're going to the moon. But now you have to scale. You found great talent out in California, New York, Georgia, and even Eastern Europe. So what communications platform will you be using to ensure your international team is always aligned? Well, the answer is easy. Slack.com for Teams. We've used Slack for all of our previous startups, and they've supported us in tremendous ways. And we want to give them a thanks today for supporting VCHunting.com. Did you also know that Slack is a great tool for personal use? Yeah, I use my own personal Slack channel to drop in documents, notes, to-dos, and follow-ups to ensure that my workflow throughout the day is right on course. I promise you, if you try out slack.com for personal use, you'll end up using it for your team as well. Go to slack.com to check it out. Welcome back to Venture Daily with me, Peter Saddington. This is the #1 fastest growing daily show in all of venture media. I hope you guys have an awesome week this week so far. We are almost through it. And I also hope that you got the opportunity to see what I dropped over the weekend. We dropped Sofia Garcia of Slow Ventures and her interview. I loved her interview so much. She's an immigrant coming from the Philippines, made it big out here in America, and is now deploying capital and helping founders grow and giving a lot back to her fellow Filipinos back home. So I hope that you have an opportunity to check that out. Go to vchunting.com to watch to read the article and watch everything about it. Also, this past weekend, we also dropped Caitlin Bolnick from OpenView Venture Partners and her interview on Saturday. So again, make sure that you check out that on vchunting.com. She's great. I love this conversation with Caitlin, and you might be surprised how she got into business B2B venture capital, and she got in to B2B venture capital through laundry. Unique, right? Pretty cool stuff. Make sure that you subscribe to our daily newsletter, the Daily Hunt. You can find the show notes below and get in on that. But let's go into our venture deals for January 16th, 2020. We always want to know where the money is going, and we always want to know where the money is flowing. AvePoint, a Jersey City-based provider of data governance, protection, and migration solutions, raised approximately $200 million in Series C funding. Investors include TPG 6th Street. Congratulations. Indigo Architecture, a Boston-based agricultural tech company, raised $200 million in funding. Investors included FedEx and Pacific Western Bank. Nice. High Radius, a Houston, Texas-based order-to-cash treasury management software, raised $125 million in Series B funding. Iconic Capital led the round. Evolve Technology, a Waltham-based developer of weapons screening. Weapons screening and threat detection systems, raised $30 million in funding. Investors included Finback Investment Partners. Pieces Technology, a Dallas, Texas-based healthcare artificial intelligence technology company, raised $25.7 million in Series B funding. Concord Health Partners led the round. The Guild, an Austin-based hospitality startup, raised $25 million in Series B funding. Investors include Maveron, Convivialite, and Nicole Investment Company. Congratulations. Virtual Incision Corporation, a Sioux Falls, South Dakota-based medical device company, raised $20 million in Series B funding. Bluestem Capital led the round. Not bad. Sweeper, a Dublin-based customer care platform for the connected home, raised $9 million in Series A funding. Investors include the Amazon Alexa Fund. Connected home, Amazon Alexa, you've caught my interest, my friend. And now we're going to check it out. Sweeper, simple care for the connected home. Reduce support costs and motivating self-service. Sweeper, what's wrong with the dishwasher? Asking questions about your home. I get it. That's pretty legit. Asking questions about what's going on with your home. You know what? I was dealing with an issue that, oh my gosh, I'm about to say something. I'm sure many of you guys leave a comment below and let me know if you heard this. But I'm going to say something that's going to sound completely privileged in every sense of the word. I wish I had a sweeper system like this, and the reason is the elevator in my house is not working. So I would like to know why it's not working, because I went up there earlier today to try to figure out how to fix it, and I couldn't figure it out. But yes, 100% privilege. Yes, my elevator in my house is not working. I understand, guys. I understand. Leave a comment below if you lasted this long and you heard that. Type in elevator joke in the comment below. Ninja Trader, a Chicago-based provider of trading software and brokerage services to active traders, raised funding of an undisclosed amount. Long Ridge Equity Partners led the round. Congratulations. Elysium Health, a New York-based life sciences company, raised $40 million in Series C equity and debt funding. Gisev Family Office led the round and was joined by other investors. Vectiv Bio, a Switzerland-based clinical-stage biotechnology company, raised $35 million in funding. Investors include Versant Ventures. TwinStrand Biosciences, Bellevue, Washington-based genetic sequencing technology company, raised $16 million in Series A funding. Madrona Venture Group led the round. Edgewater Midstream, a Houston, Texas provider of independent midstream solutions, raised $400 million in NCAP Flat Rock Midstream and the Edgewater management team. The Halifax Group recapitalized Trimec, Glen Allen, Virginia-based provider of computer-aided design and engineering software. The seller was McCarthy Capital. Provation Medical, Inc., which was backed by Clear Lake Capital Group, acquired MD Reports, a Staten Island, New York-based provider of electronic medical record practice management. Nice, not bad. NSA Industries, a portfolio company of Ironwood Capital, acquired Vivex Extrusions, a Franklin, New Hampshire-based manufacturer of metal extrusions. Valley Living, a portfolio company of Ares Management, acquired Trojan Waste Solutions, a San Antonio, Texas-based store-step waste and recycling provider. Healthgrades, a portfolio company of Vestar Capital Partners, acquired Everyart. Evariant, a Farmington, Connecticut-based healthcare, consumer, and physician engagement company. And last but not least, Springbook Software, Portland-based provider of payment software for local government, was acquired by ICEL, KKR. Financial terms weren't disclosed. Well, there you have it, guys. These are the venture deals for January 16th, 2020, all around the internet. We like to know where the money is going and where the money is flowing. And this just serves as a really fun reminder that I'll tell you, every industry on the planet has venture funding. Are you an entrepreneur? Are you a founder? Are you the entrepreneur-curious? There's money for you.
Did you know that there's even more value than just audio or video? Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at VC Hunting, and make sure to sign up for the VC Hunting newsletter, where you'll be able to get weekly news on venture capital, startups, founder stories, and the occasional wisdom extracted from Peter's brain. Go to vchunting.com to sign up. And now back to the episode.
Well, guys, this is the final word. I'm thankful that you guys have made it this far, and I'm hoping that you're going to enjoy this final segment. Guys, man, I have watched some Netflix, guys. Okay? And I am sure that many of you out there are subscribed to Netflix as well. And if you haven't, I'm not going to tell you that you should. It's a great time waster. But in many cases, Netflix can be an excuse to actually not do work and not grind out work. So if you're one of those people that has to fight that type of resistance, then please don't download Netflix. Go back to work. Build your future. I will say, though, I watched the 2 seasons of Midnight Diner, Tokyo Stories on Netflix. So much, I enjoyed this so much, I tweeted about it. And I generally don't tweet about these things. I said, to me, it's perfect. Focus on narrative and dialogue. It felt like real people, real stories. I love the homey feel. And remember when I lived in Japan and Korea, I love dinner discussions. Guys, you need to watch. It's not action-packed. These stories, okay? Midnight Diner, Tokyo Stories. Let me give you the context. There's a guy who opens up his diner at midnight to 7 o'clock in the morning. It's just for the guys who have had long days, work the night shift, and are coming in to get a drink, go home, and get some food and go home, or not go home, but it doesn't matter. People show up, and the regulars. Both seasons, every episode is heavy on dialogue, heavy on narrative, heavy on storytelling. And they did it so well that it seems like it's real people, real stories, such a homey feel, and the scenery 90% of the time, it's the scenery of just them sitting in a small restaurant. Not even a restaurant, it's a hole in the wall. Just sitting in the restaurant, talking to each other about life. It's a perfect Netflix show for watching 1 to 3 episodes a night. You don't have to binge on it. Just soak in the stories. Appreciate the candor of the regulars who trust each other and are willing to share life. One of the things that I remembered, and this is just one of the things that I loved about living in Japan and Korea, but especially Korea, is when I was living in Korea, there was a shikdang, an ajuma shikdang. Now you might say, what's that? Ajuma shikdang is just an old lady restaurant, hole in the wall. I used to live in Gumodong, which is Apgujeongwiye, which is right across the river from Gangnam. So for those of you know the Gangnam style in Apgujeong, I lived in Gumodong, right across the river on line 3. And I lived up on this hill, and every morning I'd wake up, do the whole morning routine, and walk down this hill all the way to the train station. But right before the train station, there's this little ajuma shikdang, and I would always go in there every morning. Like, this is early in the morning, it's like 5:30 in the morning, 5:45 in the morning, and I would either get dolsot bibimbap, or just regular bibimbap. But basically, it was always dolsot bibimbap or regular bibimbap. Doesn't matter. I always almost got the same thing. And there was always the same regulars there. And my Korean wasn't perfect. It still is not perfect. I'll never be perfect. It wasn't even that great. But one of the things that I loved is that over time, I just grew a relationship with the regulars there. And they just were happy to help me practice my Korean. They were happy to engage with me, some foreigner, some big shot IT dude, foreigner in Korea, and just willing to share with them what I'm doing that day, or who I'm going to meet, or are you going to go over to Samsung again and hang out with the executives over there? It was so homey, and it was just a slice of home, even though I was so far away from America. And these people were those types of relationships meant the world to me. And as I was coming in today's show, talking about women and pitching, that's really kind of the context in which I approached this article that I read earlier today. And the reason is because it's all about relationships. It's all about the people. It's all about their story and understanding who they are, and you're investing in that story and becoming part of that story. A pitch doesn't do it justice. So if you're on Netflix, guys, if you're on Netflix and you want to have now this might be just revealing of my personality and my tastes, but if you want to watch a Netflix show that is so cute, it's just like every story is so cute, it's so homey, right? I highly recommend Midnight Diner Tokyo Stories. A great show. It's cute. Not all of them are like. Just check it out. Let me know in the comments below if you've watched this. If you haven't watched it, go watch it and then come back and leave a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today. I loved being part of your day, guys, and we'll see you tomorrow.